Hello and welcome back to the channel. As always, I'd like to thank those of you who like the videos and have subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much. I'll keep making these videos if you keep watching them. I want to also say a huge shout out and thank you very much to Julie, Carl, Luke, Craig, and of course Tina, who kindly dropped this off for me today for me to review for you. This is the Epic 2 Lite, and this is the 177 Alu version, which essentially comes with a cylinder as opposed to a bottle. And I opted to review this one because personally I think this looks cooler than the one with the bottle, even though there's obviously more shot count with the bottle. This quick unboxing, I'm just gonna give you initial impressions of the rifle, but let's have a quick look at what you get in the box. So just take the rifle out of the box, leave that there for now, park what's in the box over here for a moment, put that detail sheet there, have a quick look at what comes in the manual. Okay, there's the contents. Welcome to the Epic Airguns family. And then let's move forwards. Safety instructions very quickly. I like this instruction booklet, by the way. Looks like they've gone to a little bit of time and effort to print some nice images. Details on the barrel. Over here, the threading at the end. It says the Epic 2 barrel assembly is terminated with an M27 thread, which allows for installation of an optional Epic external silencer, a muzzle brake, or conversion to 1/2 inch UNF, which is provided in the basic configuration of the Epic 2 air rifle. Interesting. Tactical stock. Now, this particular one has an AR stock with a buffer tube attached, as opposed to this folding stock. So it's worth pointing that out. This looks more like the Pro version. You've got the mounting points over here. Interesting that it says the Picatinny's got 30 MOA built in. There's also a Arca Swiss rail at the bottom over here, small one, with a Picatinny attachment over here. Although that, to be fair, that doesn't feel like it's Arca Swiss. No, it's not. It's just Picatinny. There isn't an Arca Swiss rail. That's interesting. What does it say? Arca Swiss rail for attaching a bipod or tripod with an integrated T-lock for mounting additional accessories. Interesting. So that section over here is not what's on this particular version over here. Interesting. Air tank details in terms of the fill pressure up to 300 bar. Barrel lengths over here, I'm assuming this one is 300mm barrel, 92cc tube, which goes up to 300 bar. So there's the different configurations: 550mm barrel or 700mm barrel. And then obviously if they've got bottles, they're going to get a lot more shot count. In terms of filling up with air, over here, I'll have a close look at that momentarily. Then you've got releasing air, depressurizing the rifle itself. You've got this externally adjustable regulator, which I don't know if that is actually in the UK sub 12 version. I doubt it, but who knows. Then let's have a look at this, the hammer spring adjuster. Now on here it says there's a hammer spring adjuster there. There's a slot there. Interesting. And there is a slot over here like that. I don't know if you can see that. There, like that. So just a closer look at that. So potentially you could adjust the hammer spring on this. You get one magazine in the box, and also it looks like it takes pellets and slugs. So that's going to be interesting to see how that performs. Details on loading the magazine into the breech. and unloading, trigger adjustment, and it says that there's a fully adjustable trigger, and I like the fact that the blade over here looks like a match grade trigger with a shoe horn blade which can be rotated. There you go, breakdown of the trigger. Trigger height, angle, trigger drop, first phase length, trigger force, weight, and resistance of the first phase. That's what you can adjust, which is good to see. The cocking lever is ambidextrous. So, again, that is also good to see. And then follow us. And then a diagram of the actual air rifle itself. And that be the instructions. Then you've got the test sheet over here. They've used what seems like 10.34 grain pellets, and it's shooting at there's an even spread, a standard deviation of 3.83 over here, and 13 shots. Didn't say what make of pellets though. I'm assuming JSB heavies. 10.34 grain. I'm also interested to see that the spread over here and the variety of muzzle energy in foot-pounds. It's around the 11.5, 11.6 average, maybe 11.5, 11.6 on average. That, I would expect it to have been more consistent. That's interesting to see. I wonder how it performs anyway when I do the test. What's in the box? Okay, let's have a look. Alright, starting off with your magazine. Let's have a quick feel of that. It's metal. Let's have a look, metal. There is essentially where you slide it in from the right into the left. And you rotate and load like this. Feels like a quality magazine. There's a ball bearing over here at the back. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works in the breech and whether or not the magazine interferes with the pellets in terms of indexing. Let's just put that there and don't drop it. Stay open box. Let's just put that there like that. What else have we got? We've got the fill probe. Nice to see that I don't have to attach an adapter on the end. Okay, and then you've got some O-rings, some spare O-rings. You have some rods over here. I think that could be to adjust the reg, maybe. You've got some more O-rings over here. Okay, and some stickers, epic stickers, which, yeah. Let's just keep those to one side for now. And pop everything back into the box. Oh goodness, one of them's come off. Anyway, let's leave that for now. And then just pop that to one side over there. The rifle. Okay, let's just remove these polystyrene sections over here and over here. Right, one thing I will say, again, I can put up a spec sheet just to give you an indication of how heavy it is. Straight out the box, my initial impression is that it's not light. It's not like really light, neither is it really heavy. Interesting that if this is designed for taking out into the field and for pest control, I would be interested to see the total weight, depending on what scope you put on here. But the action block is it's got some weight to it over here. Bearing in mind over here as well, you've got essentially ABS rear AR butt and a metal buffer tube. Let's start having a look at this actually at the back. So there's a rubberized section over here. Excuse the polystyrene, which feels nice, and attached over here, which is good. The adjustability over here, and this is one-handed, so forgive me. Push this up, and then you should be able to, let's just do it like this. Push this tube in like this. There you go. And it's got how many phases of adjustability? I've pressed it in once. And then let's see if I can. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. So that's it in its full length. And I'm just going to shorten it down just for sake of navigating this. There, that's it in its shortened version. Okay. Then you've got the pistol grip, rubberized at an angle over here, hollowed. You've got the hammer spring adjustment section over here. Top, you've got your Picatinny with 30 MOA on it. You have your safety over here with defined clicks on one side, and assuming it's ambidextrous, there is over here the option to remove the safety from the right over to the left. Okay, and same over here with the cocking lever. Let's talk about the cocking lever now. This is very smooth. Okay, so watch. Basically, the resistance is here. As soon as you get to this point here, there's literally nothing there. Then over here, watch this. Now that's cocked. Now technically I could just flick this back and it goes right back to 0. Right? And that's it. Let's look at the trigger. So this is, there's the first stage at the moment, right there. A bit long, can be shortened obviously. Second stage, instant. Very nice second stage. Let's try that again. That's nice. To be fair, normally you get a spring back over here. It springs into action over here and stops. But this one, to be fair, I actually like the fact that it's doing this. But at the same time, you could be mindful that if you're in the field and you move the cocking arm by mistake and then it goes back, then you potentially could lose your quarry. Cocking it back, drop it back into place. And then over here, let's try this again. First stage, and then instant. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's made me smile, that has. Brilliant. You've got the breech over here. There's your pellet probe. Underside, you have one manometer, which I think is showing the reg over here, which is just under 100 bar. We'll move forward shortly. You've got shrouded barrel, carbon fibre effect over here. I'll look at the air cylinder in a minute. And then it ends in a thread protector, which covers the, let's see if I can get this off one-handed. I might have to just pop the phone or the camera down. There we go. That's easier. It's quite a long thread, by the way. Felt long. There you go. And then at the end, whilst we're here at the business end, we have the manometer, and currently it's saying that, let's just get that in focus, apologies. It is approaching 200 bar, and bear in mind that this goes to 300 bar. So that's interesting. I would have preferred that again if it was this way up, but I feel like it's this way up again. Just a bit more attention to detail. And in fairness, I wouldn't have preferred it at the business end. You know, I've seen other manufacturers put both their reg and manometer on the underside of the rifle, which would have been nice. Anyway, it is what it is. There's your barrel thread end protector, which I'm just going to pop back onto the rifle over here. Okay. I'm sure I can do this one-handed. Yep. Alright. Come on. And then there's your air cylinder. Now to fill it, you've got, obviously over here, a rotational section of metal, which, in fairness, I think you're filling it from this side over here. Let's just flip this, because, let me just, there. Or you fill it in from there, on the underside there. Right, because there's no way Filler Pro could get in there. I mean, you could, but I would try it the other side. Just whilst we're on this side, that, I'm assuming, is where you adjust the reg. Now, I don't know, again, on the UK version, if you can do that. Something to be mindful of. Let's just move forwards from the air cylinder. Have a look at this side of the rifle. There's your Picatinny rail underneath. Over here. Quite short. Again, to be fair, I would have liked this slightly longer. You know, almost like that Arca rail. But I'm assuming that if you wanted to, you could upgrade that part, and it would involve removing this whole under section of the trigger guard and swapping it out for the full-length Arca rail version. Whether or not there's a longer Picatinny rail version, I don't know. And then there we go. We're back at the rear section of the rifle. My initial impressions are I think this rifle looks very, very cool. I think it has a really nice aesthetic visual to it. I like the cocking lever, believe it or not. The trigger is really nice. Yeah, it is really nice, actually. I do like the trigger. The question is, though, how heavy is this going to be when it's got a scope on it, depending on what scope you put on it, and essentially then from there, if you're planning, I mean, to be fair, this seems like on first impressions, obviously because it's a tactical looking rifle, it's something that you would take out in the field, and at the same time, you'd be mindful about what kind of scope or optic you'd put on here. And then, is this going to be potentially quite heavy to take around or not? I don't know. There isn't anything apart from over here where you could potentially attach a sling, so you can essentially just put it around your arm or your back and then carry it around easily that way, and then obviously use it when you need to. But my initial impressions are I do like it. I do. I mean, if you know from the channel, I've got an affinity for tactical rifles and also for laminate rifles, to be fair. Very cool ones. And bling. So for me, this visually looks the part. The next question is, in terms of accuracy, is it accurate? Because I'm all about accuracy. I mean, it could look terrible rifle-wise, but if it's deadly accurate, then that's my top of my list, is really accuracy. So I wonder how this performs in terms of accuracy. That is part 2. That, I think, is, you know, let's see what we get to. But so far, initial impressions are so good. Not bad. I'm going to pop the scope that Vector have lent me over here. I think I'm going to be putting this Vector Optics Taurus 4032 by 56 on here. I think over here it doesn't look too overcumbersome. Don't get me wrong though, the only thing is that the scope, it's not particularly light, and when you add it onto here, it's going to be interesting to see what it's like to shoulder. But to be fair, to do the test, I'm going to be putting this on a bench and trying and eliminate as much shooter error as I can to gauge its accuracy. Even though I've had people on the comments say essentially I should be shooting outside and give it a fair test in that respect, and that shooting inside isn't the way to test the rifle. I think that if you can't shoot the rifle inside and it's not performing well under zero parameter or influencing factors like wind, for example, affecting your point of impact. And if you can see without any factors like that, if it's performing well inside, then, you know, all being well, you're going to factor that wind into your outdoor shooting and then gain the same level of accuracy. Let's see what we get with this. But for now, that brings me to the end of this initial unboxing of the Epic 2 Lite. And yeah, I can't wait to shoot it. Once again, thank you very much to everyone at Vector Air. And thank you very much to you at home for watching. Please look after yourselves and stay tuned for part 2. Let's see how it goes. All right, take care. All the best. See you soon. Bye. I thought I'd come back and tell you very quickly. I put the scope on the rifle and I couldn't resist. I had to shoot it out about 25 yards. I shot these 2 shots first, and I thought I'd focus over here, to be fair, aiming at this target. And then, in fairness, the scope was set up for another rifle, so I'm going to have to essentially take the scope out of the mounts. But I found the point of impact based on the ret, and subsequently I started aiming here. That's one mag, and then there is another mag. There is another mag, but it started getting dark here, and then I got my torch out. There is another mag. By the way, the mags I think are 12 shot. I pulled that shot there, and then this is the best group. That's the last group I did, and that's 1 mag's worth at 25. So far so good. Let's see how it does at 30 at the range, and once I've been able to tweak the scope. But so far so good. Yeah, I'm super excited, and it's really nice to shoot so far. So stay tuned for part 2. Bye for now.